and the Web3 mobile evolution will continue.
GM, and welcome back to another episode of Shipped. This is the monthly show where we dive deeper into the Solana mobile ecosystem than ever before. This week we have a very, very special episode for you because we're actually going to be meeting the people who are using and building in the Solana mobile ecosystem. I'm Jack Dunham, and I'm joined today by my very special co-host, Mr. Thomas Bahamas. How's it going, TV? Absolutely. I think it's going to be a pretty alpha-packed episode, so don't go anywhere until our very final guest. A quick bit of housekeeping here as well. I noticed our streaming provider is having a bit of a hiccup. If I disappear at any point during the stream, do not worry. Thomas Bahamas will be there to steer the ship for us. Now, for anyone who's tuning in for the first episode, for their first episode of Shipped, I should say, some information. Episode number 1 was with our favorite GM of them all. It was Emmett himself, of course. We spoke all about the key milestones, what's happening with the Seeker from a production perspective, from a development perspective, etc. Episode 2 was very interesting. We had on 4 excellent builders and founders. We spoke all about Seeker Summer. We spoke about some of the campaigns, which you should definitely be making the most of. Hint, by the way, Seeker Summer is still very much active. I think it's round 4 at the moment. So definitely should be using your Seekers to get those rewards. And today we are chatting with some very interesting guests as well. We have the founder of Baxus joining us, who Mr. Thomas Bahamas has spoken to in the past. We have Inno, who's, I mean, you've definitely seen this guy on the timeline. If you're into the Seeker ecosystem, he drops so much alpha, unmissable levels of alpha, all the threads about why you should be using your Solana Mobile. And last, but certainly not least, we have Beeman, the legend himself, joining us. Now, this is a man who's been here since the early days. He talks about builders, assisting builders. He talks about users, assisting users. So I'm sure our final guest is going to be delivering massive amounts of alpha. And again, if you're on the fence, I think this is going to be a great conversation. Thomas, before we bring on our first guest, who again, you've actually spoken to back in Abu Dhabi, I believe it was during Breakpoint 2025. Yeah, worth mentioning here that you have a bunch of seekers and you also shipped an app yourself a few months back. How was that process very quickly? Absolutely. And speaking of, now our first guest is someone who has a very successful business outside of the Seeker ecosystem, who, much like Thomas, decided to venture into the Solana mobile world, shipped an app. I believe it's on Seeker Tracker as well, so you can go and find out all the details. But we are going to hear from Zvi himself. You might know him on X as WhiskyTitan. Again, very successful entrepreneur who's now venturing into the Solana mobile ecosystem. Super curious to find out his experience of developing an app, shipping an app, and then finding users, finding distribution with the Seeker. With that, Zvi, welcome to Shipped. Absolutely. Great to have you here. I see a lot of bottles in the background. Question number one, which one's your favorite? Interesting. Is it available on the Seeker as well? Can people sort of compete for that? When you say, sorry, when you say best and worst users, I'm sure none of our listeners are going to get offended by this, of course. And just, I think, while they're equalizing some audio in the background, give me a second here as well. But when you say best and worst users, I want to tie this back to something that Toli said, and I guess he's been banging on this drum for quite some time now. He says, vocally so, that the Seeker is possibly the best place to get your first 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 users because it has such an active user community. People are in there, they're incentivized to use things. But another thing that he mentions is people are very much hungry to get those incentives. So they're deploying more capital, he argues, than testers in a typical Web2 environment, in a typical Web3 environment. So curious if that has also been your experience when shipping for the Seeker. And have you noticed that people, comparative to the website perhaps are using more money when they're trying to win some of these more niche bottles? Or yeah, how's that experience been?
Product. You need to figure out the local market, the targeting. What made that so successful was the fact that the Seeker had actually handled the distribution. By launching an app on Seeker, you actually immediately off the bat get global distribution. So the feedback loops and the referral loops and all of that now has saved you hundreds of thousands of dollars of go-to-market strategy as you try and figure out which countries you can develop in. So that is, I would say, from that perspective, again, and Baxus is unique in this way. Almost every app, and I have a Seeker and I use it daily, almost every app in there does have some sort of monetary component. Anyone who wants to, earn points on Baxus, which then get turned into weekly giveaways, or wants to be, also it translates into Seeker activities. So, when there's Seeker giveaways and token giveaways, they can qualify. The Baxus app is entirely free. Now, the marketplace is built in. You're able to use it. You're able to spend money. But the core feature that we shipped, again, that hunts feature, is totally free. You just have to walk into a local liquor store and scan the barcodes and scan the prices. But to that point, that was something that was super interesting. And this is why I think it's so valuable to that point was I was willing to try so many apps on the Seeker at first that cost me $5, $10, $15. I didn't even think about it. If I were to use my iPhone and download a game and they're like, oh, it's $2.99 to play, to download the game. Even if you only pay once, I'd be like to hell with that. I'm not paying you $2.99 for this game. I log into a game on the Seeker and they're like, hey, each round costs you $3. I'm like, sure, yeah, no problem. Take my money. So it's just a very, very funny dynamic over there about the users. And that I think was again, to Toli's point and the point in general I was trying to make is that they are your best users because they will try out your product. They'll do the $3 test. They'll actually jump in on it. Even if it doesn't work, they will come back. If you then ship new updates and you put out a good tweet or you share with people and they're like, hey, you ship into your Telegram or your Discord, hey, we made a bunch of updates. We took your feedback. We've actually improved. They will come back. And that is something that I emphasize is so different from Web 2 users. With Web 2 users, you really have one chance to win them over. That first experience they have in your app or on your website, if they have a bad experience, the odds of them coming back is close to zero. It's really difficult to win them back over. And so that part is one of the best parts of the crypto user. Those are the things that I think are really the best. Again, they'll test it. They're willing to put some money on the line to try things out. They will come back if they have issues. They will give you feedback, as opposed to also just exiting and saying, I'm never using this again, which is a very common thing when it comes to Web 2. They'll actually give you feedback, which helps you improve the app and the product. And so all of those are why, when we did when we were launching the Baxus app, we were converting over, we had Booze app for a while, which was just for tracking your collection at home, which again, all of those features are now in the Baxus app. We shipped it at Breakpoint exclusively for Seekers 6 months before it hit iOS and Android. We literally let the Seeker users help shape the direction of the functions and the features based on their feedback, based on the on the different elements and the things that they were using.
Man, that makes such a big difference. So I guess that kind of goes to the point, right? Toli's always talking about launching your app on Seeker to get those first 5 to 10K users. And it seems like that's, been pretty critical to the way that you've actually developed the app. You get that feedback right away and you're able to build something that not only have people tried them, but you're building the features that they want. So I think that probably makes a massive difference in the uptake of your app in general, right?
Yeah, it really has it, and that's a great point. And again, what's super cool also is that the typical crypto user, let's say, there's not necessarily a huge overlap with your typical Baxus user. We have a lot of Web 2 people that are big whiskey people and wine people and tequila people. And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of those within crypto also, but it's not the same. It's not the same mindset of the guys that are the real diehard collectors. Like I said, there is some overlap. But that is the really cool part, is that they tested out features that didn't necessarily fit. They're like, okay, I don't have 300 bottles on my bar, but you know what? I do have a couple of bottles at home on my my liquor cabinet. I'm going to scan those and add those in. Okay, here's a suggestion. So it was really cool to see them again in a place where, Baxus doesn't have a token. We weren't promising them any tokens. There was no promise of future things. Yes, we do giveaways. Yes, you should add bottles to your bar. You should do the hunts because you do get points. Those points do convert into weekly giveaways for bottles that you can resell or redeem. There are all of those incentives, but not in the way that so many other people, when we think about incentives, think about in the crypto space. If you build something fun or genuinely useful, people will play. There are a couple of games that I play until my lives run out, every single day on my Seeker. Every single day I play. And again, these are not the types of games that I have ever downloaded on my iPhone or I think would ever download. But I was willing to test it because they're like, hey, here's a featured app today on Seeker. That got me to download the game. Then I played it twice and I'm like, oh shit, I'm hooked. This is, and that was the part that kept me. And that I think is a point also Totally made yesterday, which is getting a tweet from him or a foundation, any of these things, that's not going to get you product market fit. It might help you get someone in the door. And that is the other important thing, is that the Seeker is that getting people in the door. And that for a lot of apps, if you have a great app or a great idea, the toughest part is how do you get 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 people to actually get on your app and try it enough so that you can stress test it so that you can find the pain points. Seeker was phenomenal for that. I mean, again, even for the things of I'll call, for bug testing or malicious actor testing, so to speak, in the sense of your crypto guys are a little bit more tech savvy. So when we first launched hunts, there was one of the issues was that there was an API that basically, triggered the hunt. And so we discovered this because we know it took us about 2 minutes to complete a hunt, sometimes a minute, depending on what. And all of a sudden this one dude comes in and he has 20,000 hunts in one day. And we're like, wow, this guy must have spent 24 hours. And then we realized, oh, he figured out this way to call the API. So it was okay, it didn't hurt anyone. It wasn't, again, there was no money at stake or anything, but it actually helped us then reinforce and strengthen up our tech because we're okay, there's somebody technologically savvy who's trying to gamify this system, who's trying to play, beat the game by again, running something outside of cheating effectively. But it was really useful for us to be able to have, again, somebody do that where in the future, we could have rolled this out, once we get it fully integrated. And again, there's much bigger rewards at stake. It would have been awful to all of a sudden discover that somebody had figured out a way to, score 20,000 points when everyone else had 150. So that was the other nice part again.
Yeah, was that the biggest unlock though? That's what I'm curious. So distribution, obviously a massive boom when you launch on the Seeker. You've got all these active people testing it, giving you feedback. But then as a founder, do you think the biggest unlock was actually testing the code and testing the app and finding these vulnerabilities? How do you sort of, square that circle?
Yeah. So I would say that was definitely valuable. Carrie, my co-founder, Baxus' CTO, I would say I would definitely ask her more about the elements of again, from that perspective of the value. For me, the product and the go-to-market was more valuable. And what I will say is, so I'd say Carrie and I probably have two different perspectives on what the value of launching an app, for Seeker is or in general, an app on a different ecosystem. I will say credit to the Seeker team and the Solana Mobile team for making it so easy with the SDK and everything to ship apps and updates. We're able to, again, launch things on it. And the fact that you don't have the same app store approval processes that you have on Android and the Google Play Store and everything is a major, major benefit. Where again, we can test out new features or bring things in without having to jump through crazy hoops. But what I will say, definitely, as far as the value is actually the distribution. And again, for us, the reason why is because one of the things that we're thinking about is how do we do different, how do we factor in different countries, right? We're collecting pricing data on a local level. Now, when we tried to ship the app, the EU has a whole different set of constraints, by the way. So the Baxus app is available in some countries in the EU, is not available in other countries. Seeker, it's available everywhere, anyone who takes their phone to any country. And so what became super interesting for us was we had people that were scanning in the Philippines and we're wait a second. Our price entry is all based in US dollars. We have to now shift it so that you can actually do data entry in your local price points, and then we can convert it on the back end. Then in the future, when we do localized displays, well, it's one thing if it's really great that you could find this bottle in the Philippines for $29.99, even though your local liquor store has it for $45. But that, so it got us to start thinking on a global level in a way that we didn't have to before. When we were really majority, let's say a US audience, particularly on the app side, that I think is the big thing for Seeker. Again, for people who are building products where your TAM, your target acquirable market, and the people that you think are going to build product market fit are not all located in one country. you have to think about how do you display, design, and actually build out your product so that it appeals to different types of users in different places. And that, I think, again, is that for us personally, I would say has been the biggest benefit that we've gotten from the Seeker users, and from that was that, like, they're willing to try it, they're willing to double down on it, they're willing to test things. In fact, to your point, the one thing I think that we haven't done that when we ship and add the Baxus vending machine directly in is we actually haven't given them a way to spend and make money, because I do think that is obviously at the core and the heart of crypto. There is some element of that, and that's the one area where I think we've let the users down, is that right now they can go to the marketplace and buy something, but there isn't that same way where it's like you play a game and you win some cash, you do something. So we definitely need to give them more of that. But again, for right now, for what they've been doing, for what we've been doing, it's really incredible as like a learning tool. And again, also as a tool for the Baxus app. Our users on there they've already passed all the tests. These are people who are downloading an app to track their at-home whiskey collection, to find the best prices on bottles at bars. They've already self-selected. What was great about the Seeker was all of a sudden we had users who were like, hey, I don't know anything about whiskey or tequila or rum. How do we take someone on that journey who's brand new to our space? So we're like, great, we've convinced you that it's worth downloading our app. You want to become a whiskey collector. You want to become a whiskey drinker. So now we have to think about the user journey in a totally new way. Again, that's something that
Really
Seeker really brought to us. Mm-hmm.
So can we make that a little bit more concrete then? Because it's very interesting the way you're describing it. But let's say I have a Seeker. I mean, there's a sort of spare one in the back. But let's say I pull out my Seeker today. I know a fair bit about whiskey. I know nothing about tequila. What's my user journey going to look like? What am I going to do when I get the Baxus app?
Right. So right now, it'll just take you right in and you can add bottles to your bar, right? Or to your wish list, or you can search any bottle to see pricing. Where that's evolving is we're going to start having it where when you first sign up, it asks you a couple of questions. Some of them being, what do you like to drink? What do you like? What level of knowledge do you have? Like, we start to identify a profile of the user, because in the past, we've been able to infer it based on the bottles on your bar, based on the bottles on your wish list, based on the stuff that you buy in the marketplace. But when we have net new users that are signing up for the first time that we know nothing about other than, hey, they're Seeker users, we want to understand what it is. What is the experience you're looking for? Are you just buying at retail? Because again, the purpose of the app is really to help you also when you walk into a retail shop, make sure you're not overpaying. Are you looking to buy and collect for the long term? Are you looking to buy stuff on the Baxus marketplace? So it's going to become a lot more of an engaging, intuitive, AI has made this much easier now, where like we can add the chatbot function and you can ask questions like, hey, I'm looking for this bottle, or I tried this and I really liked it. We can then make recommendations for other bottles that are similar or that you might like. So it's again, the goal for it is to evolve with the users, where for your experts and pros, it's kind of like my biggest complaint. I don't know if either of you guys have ever used Duolingo, but my biggest complaint with Duolingo is like I am fluent in Hebrew, and I'm on level I don't even know what, because I wanted to improve like my technical Hebrew, and I'm still learning how to say like the cat is drinking milk out of the bucket. Like it's it's almost like it's great if you're really trying to first start a language, but it isn't really designed for the person who already knows it. And that is something that's so tricky for Baxus. And again, the Seeker has made so much clearer to us is we really want to own the entire life cycle and journey. We want to be there with you as the app that you download when you're asking your first questions of, hey, what should I buy at this liquor store as a gift for my friend who invited me for dinner? What should I buy, at this bar? What should I try? Or I really had this last week and I really liked it, all the way through I've got a several thousand bottle whiskey collection. I'm looking to sell some of them. I'm looking to borrow against some of them. I'm looking to, really engage in whiskey as a commercial asset. We want to be able to really be there for all of that. And the Seeker made it much easier for us to understand where we have to start on that process.
Yeah, and that's especially important when in the whiskey business, right? Because I feel like when it comes to whiskey, people get like very in the weeds, right? And they want the rarer bottles, and they're coming to Baxus because you offer a lot of rarer bottles that you couldn't find anywhere, right? If you go to the liquor store, you're not going to be able to find, a 100-year-old bottle of whiskey typically, right? So you are actually offering something that is specifically like incredibly unique, but also something that like kind of requires a little bit of knowledge, right? Like I want to learn about these bottles, and you guys offer that. So you have to kind of steer people in the right direction, onboard them, but then also say like, hey, if this is your taste profile, if this is your price range, if this is what you're interested in, why don't you take a look here in this direction? And I think that it does a pretty good job of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate hearing that, and that's what we're trying to do. That's always what we're trying to improve. We have Owen on our team, who's our in-house like whiskey historian, and he does real deep dive research. So if you click on a bottle on the website, you'll get like a bunch of information about it and history and stuff like that. About the brand, about the distillery, about the era that it was distilled in. But ultimately, there's always more to do. I mean, this is for any app and any company. There's always more to do. And again, what made it great was that the Seeker made it much easier for us to understand, because we do have so many users who come out of crypto who are like, hey, I made some money on this meme coin. I want to buy a bottle. I want to get my first nice bottle. I want to do something like this. And we're like, okay, they're showing us now where they're starting, where they're not starting, what they need to learn, how we need to design things to make them, again, we run that we run two barbells. We've got both the whiskey or / wine and spirits beginner all the way to the expert, and we have the same thing on the flip side on the crypto side as well. You've got the, okay, I'm here to spend a lot of money on the flex bottles, all the way down to that I'm just looking for my first type of thing. And so balancing those two and being able to say like, okay, we know we're going to understand more about you and figure out where we put you in this within this slot, even within the crypto side of the full on. So many of our, it's our Web 2 users are totally Web 2. They don't even realize that the whole backend is running on Solana. They don't realize that they're interacting with blockchain, which is so important to them. In the same way, it's vice versa, where our crypto users want to see more of the blockchain on the crypto side. They want to be able to integrate their bottles into the DeFi integrations. And so we are, being very methodical, I think. And again, this is why the Seeker is so helpful for this. For anyone who's shipping, definitely if you're shipping to a crypto audience, it makes no sense as to why you wouldn't be shipping on Seeker. Like Seeker is your key distribution channel. But especially if you are thinking about your growth engine as, okay, definitely crypto users, but also how do we attract Web 2 users? How do we attract other people? It's really important as a, call it like a dog fooding, really like a testing ground. Like it's the perfect testing ground to figure out what features you can ship that, okay, this only makes sense to crypto natives, or this works for other people as well. It's been super cool because we have some of our users who are not crypto people at all. Like really, we're not crypto. We've seen so many of them become what I'll call like crypto adopters. And what I mean by that is they're not buying our bags, they're not buying our meme coins, they're not buying our NFTs, but they did set up Coinbase accounts or set up accounts with other on-ramps so that they can on-ramp dollars to USDC and then use the USDC to buy on Baxus, because one of the first benefits that they see when they go to the marketplace to check out is, hey, you save 4.5% if you pay with this thing called a stable coin. And they're like, well, what the hell is a stable coin? I want to save 4.5% on my purchase because we don't charge a buyer's fee. So if you're paying with stable coins, the price you see listed on the marketplace is the price you pay. All of a sudden, if you come in, you pay with a credit card, it's like it adds the credit card processing fee. And they're like, okay, tell me more about how I can save 4.5%. So really, crypto in that case has become that, it's a cost saving measure for them as well.
Another thing that comes to mind, sorry, when you're talking about crypto natives versus non-crypto natives, and then people sort of being onboarded into the ecosystem as well, one thing that popped into my mind there is, what's the most degen thing that you've seen crypto natives do with this? Because you mentioned some of those sort of flex bottles, then you've got all the way down to, I'm just dipping my toes into this. What also comes to mind is Thomas and I were talking to the Collector Crypt founder, Tom Holberg, recently. And we said to him, what's the most degen thing that you can do on Collector Crypt? And I'm not suggesting that anyone does this, but he said you can blindfold yourself and go into YOLO mode and basically spin a bunch of $2,500 packs and see what happens. So I'm wondering if there's a sort of equally degen gambleable version that's available on the Baxus app as well.
So we do have the vending machine, vending.baxus.co, which is our version of the gotcha machine. We don't have a YOLO mode yet, although I like it. So you could do that. I would say then probably the most degen thing to do would be to redeem a bottle. You don't have to blindfold yourself, just pop it open, drink a ton of it, and then start spinning the vending machine recklessly. So I would say that's probably like a more, Baxus aligned degen mode would just be spinning the vending machine while intoxicated. But yeah, I would say like there are there's a couple of things, and there's definitely some more features coming out that will appeal to it. But I do think that is a little bit of a difference, is that we're not there are certain elements of degen culture that we're definitely integrated with. We're not necessarily looking to push it, so to speak. Like it's great, like people use it, they'll use it on the vending machine, but we're not trying to turn your typical whiskey user into a degen, and we're not trying to turn your, listen, if we could turn the degens into, the refined gentlemen and women that drink whiskey, that'd be great. But again, if you spend a bunch of time with enough whiskey people, you learn that they're also degens, just in different ways. So it's really, again, it's kind of finding that happy medium between them of like, where do we, not turn off the whiskey crowd by feeling like it's too degen, not make it too buttoned up where it's not appealing to the crypto users, just find some sort of happy medium along the way. And again, what's really great is having crypto users and specifically Seeker users that are able to help guide us with that and show us the direction of what they're looking for.
Zvi, we like to end these segments with sort of a rapid fire round, if you will. And we have a very fun set of questions for you. I think pretty self-explanatory questions. They seem relatively easy as one-word answers. So scenario, you're at dinner, let's say markets are tanking, one of your holdings is down 15, 20%. Do you pull out your iPhone or your Android or the Seeker?
I don't pull out my phone if my holdings are down 20%. Because I'm a long-term ride to zero kind of guy. But I would say if I'm trading, it's my Seeker. All of my crypto trading, like everything crypto, is on my Seeker. It's on me at all times.
Amazing. Now, let's say that you reset your Seeker back to factory settings. You open up the App Store. What's the first app that you're downloading?
Maddle. That is the game that Maddle.fun. That is the game that I became obsessed with. So, and that game 100%. Baxus is a close second, but I'm downloading Maddle first.
What's the best time of day to use the Seeker?
I like using it. I find I use it in the evening because, again, all of my crypto holdings are on there, and it's better to not spend the whole day stressed out whether I'm up or down. So it's nicer to check it in the evening and then see where I am the next night.
There you go. Now, is the Seeker considered cold storage for your whiskey and potentially cheese?
The Parmesan Bank. Definitely for some of my whiskey is definitely cold storage on the Seeker. We gotta. The Italians have to move the cheese bank to somewhere that has air conditioning.
Yeah.
Do you use your normal regular phone, let's say, for things like calling Ubers, booking holidays, or do you prefer doing that with stable coins on the Seeker?
Currently, I still do it with my iPhone, but I could very much so see myself transitioning over time. I'll leave it at that.
Awesome. All right. Yeah. We also want to let people know where they should go to keep updated with all the new features coming out on Baxus, where they should follow your X account. So can you share your handles with us, please?
Yeah, so the Baxus handle is BAXUSCO. It's Baxusco on Twitter and X, and that is the best place to get updates about new features and new things and competitions. And for myself, it's Web4O, so it's WEB, the number 4, and then the letter O.
Capital O, is it?
Capital O. I don't know if Twitter, knowing X, it probably makes it difficult if you type in lowercase. So yeah, capital O at the end. Thanks so much, guys, for having me on. This is a blast.
Absolutely. It's been great. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for making time to chat with us. We will be updating the description, of course, with some of those links that you just shared. And for everyone that doesn't yet have the Baxus app on the Seeker, you can definitely go and download that now and start playing around with it as well. Zvi, thank you so much, and we will keep in touch.
Perfect. Thank you.
Bye. All right, Thomas, I think you and I are going to have some fun later talking about some of these more niche whiskey bottles. I know we were talking earlier briefly, but I need to see if my favorite Japanese whiskey is on there. Now, with that said, before we get too degen, let's bring on our next guest here. This is a man that you've all no doubt seen all over the timeline. He drops alpha bombs left, right, and center. He's got threads. He shares all the tips and tricks about making the most from your Seeker use, getting all the rewards for Seeker Summer. We know that Season 2 is very much active. The rewards campaign is yet to be announced, so a lot to look forward to there. Inno, welcome to Shipped. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Jack. Hello, Thomas.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having me here today with you guys. I'm so excited and I'm so happy to be here.
Great to have you on. I know you're sort of moving around a lot. You're traveling a lot like many of us in crypto. So really appreciate you making time to sort of sit down for a second, take a deep breath and talk to us all about the Seeker ecosystem today. I want to start right from the top, something that you posted within the last 24 hours, I believe. You put out a thread, 10 reasons why you should buy Solana Seeker. And I know Thomas is going to pull up that link in just a second. It's honestly a great one. It's one of your many, many bangers. If you don't mind walking us through that to begin with, why did you decide to make this list? What's the alpha in the post?
Definitely. So yeah, first of all, I'm I'm in south of France. I'm I'm using just my phone data, so I hopefully everything goes smooth.
Sounds
Yeah,
fantastic.
as you, fantastic, great then. So I just made this post yesterday, uh, because there's some quite alpha there. We can go through them one by one, but like the hot ones are mainly like seeker summer rounds that are going every other week, or yeah. So and the collector crypt offer that can get you 20% off a seeker and an extra $50 collector crypt gacha pool. So if you are hearing this live stream and you don't have a seeker, this is really a good opportunity to now get one.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, 20% off of one of these phones is a great discount. And then I mean, you throw a $50 collector crib gotcha pull on there where I mean, you could pull a rare and that could be worth quite a bit, right?
Definitely. And if you read second bullet point, I mean, we will get to each one of them, but like second one is like the phone literally pays for itself. Like mine already did, like through the SQR airdrop or even Seeker summer rewards that we have ongoing right now.
Yeah, it sure does. And I mean, we were comparing this earlier where I mean, just a hardware wallet oftentimes is almost as much as the cost of the Seeker phone, right? So to get a discount on there and you get a hardware wallet that's also a phone, it's a pretty good deal, right?
That's fantastic. Yeah, you are right. I mean, there is so much in Seeker. It's not just a regular phone. There is so much happening there.
Yeah. Yeah, there
You
sure
know,
is. So,
a quick one. I want to take people back to the sort of early days because you're talking about the phone paying for itself. We know that the end of season one was a very lucrative, very sort of happy moment for a lot of people, and they did indeed get reimbursed for a majority, if not all, and then some of the cost of the phones. Now you've obviously been deep in the Seeker ecosystem since the get-go. I don't know if you were using the Saga as well or not, but take me back to the moment when 150 of these devices were shipped around the world, right? Nowhere near as many dApps as there are today. In fact, I checked this morning. I think it's around 1,200, maybe a little bit higher than 1,200 dApps now available on the Seeker App Store. But curious, now that you've made all these lists, all these reasons for people to go and get a Seeker, what are the main apps that you use day to day? Is it mainly DeFi apps? Is it games? Is it deep in projects? Yeah, what are you using every single day?
And the protocols give to Seeker users, I try to take advantage of. Uh, and this is some extra rewards and extra perks for Seeker users. And also now, of course, with Seeker summer rounds, I always use the apps that are on the week spotlight to discover new apps, of course, and also to earn from the rewards that are distributed every week.
Do you have any tips and tricks for us for maxing out the Seeker Summer quests as quickly as possible? I know some people were sort of in the comments asking us, look, do I need to, allocate a sort of half an hour a day for this for a whole week, or can I get it done in 48 hours? So yeah, hoping you can share some alpha with us and all the power users out there as well.
I mean, from my experience, you could get it done in like 1 hour ish. Like they don't require much time. Like at least half every week only takes a few minutes, and the other half requires a bit more attention. But it's really fast, and like you get some more SKR that you can stake, and it keeps growing.
I like it. I like it. Now, okay, we're getting all the alpha on Seeker right now. It seems like there's always kind of something running, right? So every time I open up the dApp store, it's Seeker Summer. There's something going on, and like part of the fun is checking out the new apps, right? So you get to go in and check out new apps. Do you have any tips for us on helping people to use their Seeker more often? Like, are there any settings that you use to make make it a little bit easier to use while you're actually doing things on your Seeker, or how do you think about that?
I mean, honestly, it's easy by default. It's simple. It's like, I mean, it's like your default Android phone, but that has some crypto superpowers. Like,
I like
yeah,
that. I like that.
yeah. So whoever already using Android or even a normal iPhone will get a use of Seeker quite easily. It's not magic, to be honest, but it's very crypto adapted. Uh, like I have an iPhone and I have a Seeker, but whenever I'm using a Seeker, I always fear that my crypto wallets are more secure. My I mean, iPhones have the reputation to be quite secure, but still, to be a crypto adapted phone, it's definitely a life hack for me. Especially that Jack just mentioned at the beginning that I'm traveling quite a lot, so it's definitely a life hack to have kind of a hardware called wallet on my phone embedded directly.
Okay, so I want to make it more concrete as well for people who don't require the additional safety of a hardware wallet. Maybe people that are sort of crypto curious, they dabble in crypto, but they don't go on chain every day,
I'm
right?
sorry to interrupt you already, but everyone in crypto need a hardware wallet.
Everyone in
But go
crypto,
ahead.
yes.
Yeah, but
But
go
my
ahead.
question
Continue.
is, my question is, let's say you're talking to one of your friends or someone that you meet while traveling, and they're crypto curious. They have a little bit of crypto, maybe it's on a centralized exchange, and they see that you pulled out a Seeker, and they think, oh, that's cool. And then you say, oh yeah, it's a crypto phone, and they say, oh, what is a crypto phone? How do you then convince them that this is added value, right? What are the features that you might talk about? What are the apps that you might talk about that would really make them think, okay, actually, first of all, I didn't know that a crypto phone existed, and secondly, this is something that I would probably be willing to buy.
I mean, this is probably the reason I just wrote that post yesterday. So we can go through each bullet point now, one by one.
Let's run through. We can run through them. We can run through them quickly. But I'm curious what the top sort of reasons why someone might change their mind is, because we know that crypto is very very contentious. Let's say people either love it or hate it, right? There's very few people in the middle at the moment, I feel. So let's say someone's considering, like, would it be that they're sick of the price of the newest iPhone, right? The 17 comes out, the 18 comes out. They're like, there's no way I'm spending $1,900 on a phone. Would you use the cost of it, the fact that it pays for itself, as the main reason why they should buy it? Or is it this added security layer? Curious what the sort of the final straw that breaks the camel's back is.
So as you said that someone just starting in crypto, so it will not be mainly about security. So I guess it will be about cost, that it can literally pays for itself by airdrop, by perks, by rewards, and like the entry is not close to the iPhone price or new Samsung prices. It's like 1/4 of price or not even. So it's a no-brainer for me to have it if you are in crypto, especially if you are in Solana, of course.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. And I mean, you mentioned security there a couple times. I got to bring this up. So one of the top security guys in all of crypto, Zach XBT, recently said that the best hardware wallet was an air-gapped iPhone. And I feel like that was a miss there, right? Because the Seeker is just a way better option, right? The Seeker actually has a hardware wallet inside of it. Is that... Like, I mean, you sound like you're pretty into hardware wallets. You think that everybody should have a hardware wallet. Like, what's your take when you hear what Zach XBT said?
I mean, yeah, that's crazy. It happened like 2 weeks ago, I remember, and I even made a post about hardware and what everyone in crypto should do to protect their crypto and self custody. And I mentioned that multi-signatures are the way to go. And I remember someone in the reply said that you can use your Seeker as a part of the multi-sig. And now that I think of it, it's definitely game changing. Like, you get an extra hardware wallet that you can use as a multi-sig and as easy as a phone. It's not a USB that you need to plug to your computer and stuff. So I will chill Fuse or Squad. It's the multi-sig protocols we have on Solana, and like from here I will as soon as I go back home I will integrate Seeker to my multi-sig for security.
Yeah, I love it. Squads, it's so easy to set this up on squads. Like us on Solana, like we're kind of blessed to have like such a good multi-sig. And I mean, as far as hardware wallets go, this is one that's very native to Solana, right? So if you're transacting in Solana and you want to have a native hardware wallet, there's very few options, and the Seeker is definitely one. When I first got into crypto, there was a big movement where basically anytime you're making any transaction or transfer over $1,000, you should be using a hardware wallet. I don't think people really preach that anymore, especially with meme coins on the rise and everything. But I still think that's a pretty safe way to look at it, and it's probably a better way to encourage people to use a hardware wallet than not.
Interesting. So, Thomas, on that point, I want to take us back to something that WhiskyTitan was saying as well, while we get Inno reconnecting here into the stream. So we asked him net sort of positive things of shipping for the Seeker ecosystem, shipping on the Seeker specifically. But then I feel like we forgot to ask him about the things that actually frustrate him, right? There's got to be something that the iPhone still does better. Now, he mentioned booking holidays, booking Ubers, that kind of thing. But you have a bunch of Seekers. I've got a couple. Curious what you think. And the obvious answer for anyone who's used the Seeker for longer than 10 minutes here is the camera, right? The iPhone, if you get the brand new iPhone, let's say you have a 15 Pro or something even, right? 2 models older, the camera is going to be significantly better. That's not what the Seeker was designed or built for. But aside from the camera, what are some things that Apple does better or the Samsung does better? The latest, I think Samsung is what, the S9 Galaxy whatever, and they're supposed to have incredible cameras and incredible screens. But yeah, in your experience, what's one thing that we want the next version of Seeker to be miles better so it could compete with Apple and Samsung?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so first of all, I'm not an Android user, so it took a process like for me to get comfortable using it, but I like the way that it works. Like I like a lot of it. Yes, the camera could be a little bit better. However, I like it. I think that there's something about the iPhone where it's too addicting. So like anytime I pull up my iPhone and I want to, I go to read a piece of mail or something, it's like I'll open Twitter and then 30 minutes later I'll get to that mail, right? Like it's just so addicting where I don't find that on the Seeker for some reason. Like I deleted the Twitter app off of my iPhone and I still have it on my Seeker. So I can look at it for 5 minutes and just put it down, where for something about the iPhone, it's too catchy. It's too bright. It's too good at that. So I don't know. There's something to be said there where it's like
definitely designed to keep you there. I agree with you. It's like the Facebook app, and when they released that infinite scroll function, right? You're like glued to it for eternity. I do like that the Seeker is much more focused, and I suppose the sort of attention deficit that you get on the Seeker, which you don't with an iPhone, is new apps. So instead of being spammed with notifications of people posting a picture, it's, hey, there's a new app. Hey, go and try this out. So a bit more focused in that sense. It seems we have lost Inno, by the way. For all of our listeners, I do want to let them know that if you want all of the alpha that he posts, all of these long threads, how to get most of the rewards out of the Seeker ecosystem, tips and tricks on Seeker Summer, but also Season 2, which is very much still in motion, go to X. His handle is Inno, INNO_Sol. And I promise you there's going to be a lot of alpha in that. Now, with that, TB, I want to bring on our next guest here. This is the man, the myth, the legend, none other than Beeman himself. This is a man who's been around since the very, very early days. He's an OG, no doubt about it. People love him, respect him, look up to him. Beeman, welcome to Shift, sir. How are you doing? Great to have you. Great to have you on.
I think our audio is we're still kind of waiting 1 second for him, perhaps.
Are we? Oh, we are having a slight technical issue. No worries. We're going to get it fixed. Give me 2 seconds, B-Man. Thank you very much. Let's see. We have multiple audio inputs.
It's a party. It's turning into a party of a stream.
It is. It's a Seeker summer party, which our previous stream guest, Mike Horton, the GeoNet founder, was also saying Seeker summer is hot. One of my favorite sound bites from all the conversations we've had so far. He was like, "There's so many users. It's hot. Seeker summer." I love that. And speaking of heat and the summer itself, B-Man, I want to get your thoughts and your experiences and how you found Island DAO being there. I think it was maybe one of your first experiences as a Solana Mobile representative in some sense, if I'm not mistaken, but you did some amazing things there, B-Man. You were talking to people about how they can ship their first app, finding all of the resources as a developer, as a solo founder, maybe even as a non-technical founder. So yeah, from the top, what was Island DAO like for you, and what was the sort of biggest takeaways that you had?
Yeah, that's a great great experience I had. Island DAO was simply amazing. It was my start of Seeker Summer, indeed, and my first like public representation of Solana Mobile as a DevRel. Now, a lot of people don't know I've been working kind of as a contractor for Solana Mobile for a few months, but this was very much like only people on GitHub kind of saw this. So experience was really great. The Island DAO by itself is awesome, and it's a very inspiring environment. People that have seen the footage, you've seen the villa. It's a great place to build. But most of all, it's very inspiring to walk around people that actually came there to build. Surprisingly, a lot of net new people to the Solana ecosystem. So that I think was incredibly bullish to see people that didn't know the founding team of Island DAO, people that never heard of Sol Quicks, which is kind of funny. That's like, okay, you're not on the crypto Twitter bubble, right? So this is I think cool. Which also meant like Solana Mobile was new for a bunch of people. So this is a great opportunity to basically sell the idea. And one of the things that makes my job kind of easy is that I keep on talking to founders that are incredibly bullish. And I think WhiskyTitan, who started off, he keeps like, this is also soundbite by soundbite. We could make a soundboard app for the Seeker with like bull post messages that people keep on telling how they find PMF, how great it is to get feedback from users. And so this was a very convincing story I could tell in Island DAO, for example. And the other thing, part of the story is you don't need a Seeker to build for Seeker. And it's easy for everybody. I think these days, everybody can build software. It's incredible. This has changed. Half a year ago, I was still writing my code myself. Now I haven't written any of my code for the last months. It's crazy. And this means anybody can build an app. So this is the thing that we really proven there, because they didn't own a Seeker. So they could build it on the emulator or on a spare Android phone. They could test it there. They could hand it over to other people. And yeah, so it was a great experience. We had more than 15 app submissions and I think a bunch of longtime Seeker builders. So yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I love the idea that anybody could build an app now, right? So if you have a good idea, or if you have a good business, a good protocol, a good idea out there, you can really bring that to the Seeker mobile like app I'm not going to say easily, but it's a pretty straightforward process to get it to it, right? And we were talking to WhiskyTitan before, and he said that was the best way for him to get his first, like 5,000 to 10,000 users to start testing out his app, to start playing with it, start giving feedback. So when you're talking to these new solopreneurs or the next, the people that are building the next app, like what is that process like? What is it like to get them to ship their first Seeker app?
I mean, it's honestly, these things, so the way this works is these things hardly ever talk about integrating the Seeker itself, because it's a fairly easy way to do it. You're no longer going to write the code. So like I had like a handful of technical questions when I was there, but most of it is about the product itself, how to ship. How can you use a mobile device? What things does this mobile have that your web browser doesn't have? You can take an edge on that thing. So it very quickly goes to the product level. And that's amazing, because we no longer have to think about the details. I think for a lot of people, it's kind of a mindset now that shipping software is cheap. I think a lot of people that start building something in their first app, they think that this will be the app that will be the app for life. And that's often not how it works. It's very similar to when you go dating a person. It's possible that this is not the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. I think you should see apps in the same way. So build something, experiment something, throw it in the App Store. And this is now very possible. And the beautiful thing is you can actually get users. Because if you do the same thing with Google Play or Apple App Store, you're literally 1 in 100 million.
Yeah.
So nobody's going to accidentally stumble on your app and figure it out. And that might be a nice thing. So we make it very easy to experiment. And people should just experiment, put apps out there, even if it's not something they're going to be long-term committed to. And this might actually lead to something that actually works and is interesting.
I want to make that very concrete for non-technical founders? Because Thomas was mentioning to us a second ago that he shipped an app, for better or worse. You know, he sort of hasn't been able to, hasn't had the time or the technical knowledge to update it. And you're talking about you ship something, it's not the final version, final iteration. You need to sort of keep on top of things. I am an aspiring Seeker app shipper, let's say, definitely a non-technical person. So I'm curious, for all of the non-technical potential would-be founders, would-be app developers out there, what are the key resources, key groups, key areas that they can go and learn from? I know, for example, that you released a video not too long ago, but it seems relatively technical. So yeah, people like me, where should we go? What should we learn such that we might be able to ship an app for the Seeker as soon as possible?
Yeah, Jack, that's a great question. And this is actually also the target audience that I really want to cater to. So we might actually do a follow-up and see what gets you stuck. But the videos is the video that I shared is part of a series. I just dropped the third one in the series earlier today. So go check that out on my X. And this video content series is assumed that you have very little programming knowledge. You need to have the desire to do this. And I go over a bunch of concepts, but I try to make it really, really easy to do it. And so the main ingredient you'd need is willingness, and you'd need to clearly learn something. So you need to install a few tools on your machine. And one of these things is probably your coding agent, right? So you're going to have Cloud Code, Codex, Open Code, whatever you use in Gemini CLI. So you're going to install your agent, and you're going to have them do all of the work. Now, from a content creation point of view, this is kind of a thing I have to figure out, because we used to discuss code snippets and how to implement something. But now that we no longer do this, we're kind of moving to more like conceptual levels, so that you as a founder understand what you want to do, but you no longer have to worry about like syntax and all of these things. So I think, and I'd love to hear your feedback, honestly, on the videos, if you figure out, okay, this is actually too difficult, because I think if you actually check them and do want to build an app, it should help you get set up and get unstuck. So, so yeah, that's the main thing. All of these videos are built around the Solana Mobile CLI. It's a new command line tool that I built, so people can just execute a command to scaffold a new app, or run a Solana emulator, or delete the emulator. All of these things are normally like tens of steps that you need to kind of know. And instead of me going into a video explaining you how to create or delete an emulator, I explain you how to run a command, which you will then feed into your agent, who does it for you. So this is like an interesting gap to fill. And this CLI is something that clearly my agent built it. So Cloud Code has been building most of this thing. So I think of an issue, think of something that I now have to explain that costs 10 steps. I explain it to my agent, it writes one command, and now you type the thing, and we're all helped. So it's really a paradigm shift. And then the last two things I want to briefly mention on agent skills. So we define a bunch of skills. I'm sorry for the background noise here. We define a set of agent skills, so your agent know how to work with Solana Mobile, how to sign a transaction, send a message, etc., etc. And I'm very big on templates and sample apps. And if anybody has followed me for the past, they know I've been maintaining Create Solana Dev for like 2 years. So templates are a big thing. I think it's very important. So this is what I'm mainly working on, making it very easy for you to ship, start something, start with an up and running idea, point your agent to it, ship an app. You literally should have something in like 4 to 6 hours. If you're dedicated and willing to put to work, you don't have distraction, you put away your Telegram, you put away your X, you should be able to build an app in 6 hours. And do KYC, publish it to the store, and literally live in 24 hours, and having users is possible.
Oh, that is unreal. 4 to 6 hours to ship an app. I love to hear that. I mean, people need to hear that, right? That if you can do that, if you can put the distractions aside, you can actually get to shipping something. I think that's phenomenal. I think that there's just like a community of people willing and wanting to test out the latest app. Which leads me to like, what's the category that's the most popular on Seeker right now? You know, we're in crypto and we're on Solana all the time. So right now it seems like trading, it seems to be where, you know, the majority of the volume is, and the main category of apps on the whole of Solana. But what about like, if we were to narrow that into Seeker, like what do you see getting the most traction on Seeker?
I don't have the numbers. So this is about kind of going by what we all see, I guess, in the timeline. And but yeah, finance, clearly. And honestly, I think finance is one of the main reasons why we care about these blockchain characteristics, what it has, right? So now you can kind of always funnel it back if there's money involved. I think RWAs are actually a great thing on Solana and Seeker as well. Like Baxus is a great example, but other great example is Nomads. And full disclosure, I'm advisor at Nomads, so but I suggested them to ship on Seeker, and it served us really well. Like we got a high amount of users, high amount of retention, and it's just a great experience. And it's great that something like this exists on Seeker. You can pay with USDC, Sol, Seeker token, so you can build your stays. In the future, there'll be airplanes, so you can use your Seeker and your Solana wallet to buy a flight. This is amazing. Like 3 years ago, this was something that wouldn't be really imaginable. I mean, clearly we could use a crypto cards, but like paying natively from your wallet and it all gets settled and you fly a few months later. That's
honestly fascinating. And I have to say, having used Nomads only through the Seeker, I agree with you that, distribution wise, it makes absolute sense. A lot of people that I know who've used it have gone back to book their holidays, whether it's traveling for conferences or booking travels, etc. But I'm curious then, from the perspective of someone who sees all these builders, people that have apps that are successful, that are then sort of pivoting to also having it on the Seeker, or people that have an idea and they want to first get their distribution on the Seeker. What are the types of apps at the moment that are getting the most attention from the builder community? Is it, we know what the users want, as Thomas was saying. It's financial applications, it's trading, it's DeFi, it's having money in the Solana ecosystem, putting it to use perhaps. I know vaults are getting very popular, but from a builder perspective, what is getting people really excited? And maybe there's an AI angle in there, I'm not sure. But yeah, you've also been very close to some of these hackathons, some of the rewards. So curious what your take on that is.
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, personal finance tools are definitely out there. Vaults, we've mentioned it. And actually, Inno mentioned something that I fully agree with. Your Seeker is an amazing participant in the multi-sig. I think that's an excellent thing. I think one of the common misconceptions is that people think hardware wallet equals cold storage. But these things are fundamentally different. Cold storage is a role, right? It's a role you fulfill with a certain wallet. But it's totally fine to have a seed phrase written down on a paper and stock it in a safe and use it as cold storage. It's proper cold storage. It doesn't need to be a hardware device. So I think that the question people have is the Seeker a cold storage? Well, maybe if you make that off of it, it's definitely a hardware wallet. So you can be signing daily transactions with a hardware wallet perfectly fine. Like it brings other characteristics. So yeah, make it part of your multi-sig. That's something that I would recommend everybody. Now back to the questions. Interestingly enough, and this is kind of maybe an over-debated topic, but games, people keep on building games, and gamers don't like crypto. Crypto people don't game. Well, it turns out a lot of people love building games, and they still do it. And one of the big participants that we've been collaborating quite a bit with is Magic Block. And Magic Block, you all well know Magic Block. They're building an amazing layer to make Solana scalable in such a way that it's very fast and it's very cheap to make transactions. And these are actually transactions with a similar guarantee. And it's really cool to be participating in these hackathons. I don't even have to judge, so I only get to do the good parts, tell the story about Secret, try to convince people. And we had like 14 or 16 apps coming out of this hackathon. It was like a 2-day hackathon. Like this is nothing huge like Colosseum. So I think, yeah, I'm gonna put it on games. And I'm not a big gamer myself, but I do think it's great. And it's actually one of the things I use my personal Seeker for quite a bit.
Listen, you got to give the people what they want, right? If people are asking for games, Emmett was saying this when we spoke to him in Breakpoint as well, that I guess the fastest growth that he's seen as far as app adoption has been games, because people are already on there testing things, and games is sort of a fun category.
Yeah, and then one shout out in particular, if I may, Gorkats on X. Gorkats is an amazing game. The graphics are stunning. I'm very bad at it. I didn't go past level 1 because like I cannot get. But the graphic is amazing. And what they do, they build an app for the the Solana gaming device, as well as Seeker, and they now have people compete against each other, and this is brilliant. So now you
Is
have
that the
two ecosystems.
PSG one? I think, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think I have one of those somewhere in the back as well.
And they do like a leaderboard, and you can see, okay, like hey, the Seekers have like 8 in 10, and then the PSG have like 2 in 10. So you kind of compete against these things, and I think that's pretty interesting and clever.
Beeman, another question that we have to ask you, which we always ask Emmett, and he always somehow manages to, in a fun way, granted, sort of skirt around the question and not really give us an answer. But we've been asking this question to Emmett since, let me see, was it August? Was it September 2024 when we were in Singapore for Breakpoint? And all of this was being announced, and we said, okay, but what's next, right? We're so eager to find out what the next sort of release is going to be. So hardware expansion has been one of these topics that keeps coming up. Is it going to be a phone? Is it going to be a smartwatch? Is it going to be a tablet? We asked him once, is it going to be a fridge? He laughed, but he did not answer the question. So same question to you. Can you give us any alpha on what type of hardware expansion we might see next?
I think you really, really overestimate my amount of knowledge that I have inside. I'm very much brought on need-to-know basis, which is not something I complain about. I think a younger me would want to come into this organization know it all. I'm fine with having very limited amount of knowledge. I cannot just spill things that I shouldn't spill. I'm personally, and this was before I got this role, I'm very bullish on the idea of having OEMs built for Solana Mobile. This is something that's not a secret. This has been announced like in February, right, in the Mobile World Congress. I didn't know about this. I heard it at the time together with the rest of crypto Twitter, and I think this is great. I think opening up this stack for other phone builders to work with is a huge enabler, and it allows Solana Mobile to focus on building the best experience, having an amazing reference model. And then for actual end users, they're not going to specifically buy a Solana phone. They're going to buy a random Android phone, which is a great device that then also ships this Solana integration. And I think that's like, if this happens, I think we have a huge chance on actually getting breakthrough with Solana Mobile stack.
Yeah, I totally agree. Final questions before we let you go, Beeman. What tips would you give for builders right now, things that they can go and do aside from start developing and watching the videos, obviously? What are the sort of fastest 0 to 1 tips that you can give to builders, maybe people that are non-technical? And then on the user side, what are the tips that you can give them for getting the most out of testing new apps, out of being part of Seeker Summer, and then obviously Season 2, which is still very much ongoing as well?
Yeah, basically going to start with the users, participate in these events. Things like Seeker Summer are just fun. We get a lot of good feedback, and in order to figure out what to do, follow the right people on X. Inno is one of them. I'm not going to do any other name dropping because I will forget people, but we just had Inno speaking here. So there are a bunch of great people in the ecosystem that actually make it fun to be part of this and actually be aware of what's there. For a builder, yeah, I mean, best way to learn how to build is actually start building. Now that's been cheaper than ever. Focus on something that you actually think is fun to build. If there's no fun, there's no really sense in doing it, especially if nobody's paying you or asking you to do it, right? So build something that you think is fun. Figure out how to integrate crypto. It's kind of a meme, but yeah, you're building an app. See if there's an angle how you can actually meaningfully integrate crypto and ship it on Seeker. Get some users, and yeah, definitely also do check the videos, and I'd love to hear feedback from people that like, what do you want to see? What do you want to see me build on a video, 3 to 5 minutes, that would help you get motivated? Maybe Jack, this is for you, but also Thomas, for you, if you want to build something or finish up the app. I'm super happy to help people ideate things and build some examples.
I feel like Thomas is a few steps ahead of me as far as the app goes. So maybe we start with getting feedback for Thomas's app. What's the name? Remind me again, Thomas. Seeker Maxing?
Seeker Maxing. You got to start maxing out your Seeker, you know?
Excellent. Beeman, thank you so much. Thank you so much for making time to talk to us today. Really appreciate it. For everyone who doesn't follow Beeman, shame on you, first of all, but go to X, follow him, Beeman_NL. Am I getting that correctly?
Yep.
That is the X handle. Go there, go follow Beeman, and make sure you watch his videos on how to ship, how to develop for the Seeker, and of course, give some feedback for him as well. It's a reciprocal process. Beeman, thank you so much. Hopefully, we get to catch up in person in London for Breakpoint.
Definitely. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Beeman.
Cheers.
All right, Thomas, what a great conversation. I think that
Man, he's
means
great.
that we are about to wrap for this episode of Shipped. Great takeaway for us, I think, is just start developing, right? Just start watching the videos, figure out what people want, provide some value, I think, with your app on the Seeker, and you're probably going to get to 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 users and get some feedback pretty quickly as well. Are you gonna maybe heed Beeman's advice and go and update your app?
Yeah, 100%. You know, why not? It seems like you can go out, get some users. I love the community, right? So I feel like everyone's out there to kind of test things, kick the tires a little bit, see what other people are building. So, you know, why not? I'll just wait for one free day, which I'll never have. And
There you go. I love that.
one of
Kick
these
the tires
days.
a little bit. Kick the tires a little bit. For anyone listening, don't kick tires. Go from 0 to 1 as quickly as possible. It is, as we've been saying for weeks and weeks, if not months and months now, a great distribution platform. It's also a great way to learn, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that your first app is going to be the final version of it or that you're going to make a bunch of money from delivering your first app. Just learn how to do it. It's fun. It's easier and cheaper than it ever has been. And I think it's a great time to start. Now, with that, reminder that Shipped is a monthly show. We're going to be back next month, first Tuesday of the month at 11 a.m. Eastern as well. There is a Luma. You can RSVP to it so you get a notification to not miss everything. And of course, for everything that we covered today, go to solanafloor.com/seeker. You can also check, this is a great little resource, seekertracker.com. I know we shared our screen for a little bit when Baxus was on. And check the description, of course, for all of the other resources from Inno and from Beeman as well.
100%.
Thomas, with that, you and I are going to be, I think, camped outside the Breakpoint Seeker booth, if you will, because last Breakpoint, they had a massive Seeker activation. And I'm getting information now that there's also a massive Seeker activation planned for London. So I guess this is also a Breakpoint ticket sales plug. No, they're not giving us any money. There is no affiliate code here. But if you haven't got your tickets to London, flights are still cheap. Get your tickets to Breakpoint. Get your flights to London. It is safer, I promise you, than people make it out to be. With that, thank you very much to Thomas for being here. Thank you to WhiskyTitan. Thank you to Inno. Thank you to Beeman. Thank you all for listening. And we'll see you next month.
Thanks, Jack.
Take care.